Okay, anyway, what we got here is the soak and simmer method for doing rye grains, okay? So here we go. So what I do is I got organic rye berries in this little cup thing here. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to pour them into a clean bucket. Doesn't have to be sterile because you're going to do all that later. Alright, so there is 1.13 pounds. That's 1 pound. Normally I buy these by the 25-pound bag, but somebody beat me to it. So here's another 1.8 pounds. And we'll throw another one in there. This will do about 6 or 7 jars maybe. Probably 6, but you never know. You might get the extra one. This one is 1.85 pounds. Okay? Don't let this deceive you, but here's your bucket of grains, right? Alright, now what we do, this is called the soak and simmer method, I believe. Soak and simmer. Okay? So let's get on to the cleaning part, because first we got to clean our berries. God damn it all. Alright, let me throw all this crap out so I'm making a fucking mess. Alright, now let's adjust the camera up a little bit at the sink here. Okay? So now, we take our berries and we fill the bucket. Well, don't fill it, but, you know, we want to use cold water. We want to get the bucket up pretty high with water because what these rye berries, when they're milled, aren't very clean. See if I got a good camera angle on this. Probably not. Okay. Let's try that. Alright. Almost there. Jesus, that's cold. I better put a little water. I mean, I gotta stick my hands in here and froth this around, so. And then you just stick your hand in and you scoop them around. Okay? What we're doing is we're washing off the berries. Okay? When they mill them, they don't take all the dirt off them. It's mostly dirt and dirt. Okay? Now just to show you what I'm talking about here, let me take my hand out of there. I don't have a towel anywhere close. Alright, but look at this now, right? Okay. Here is the water. Look how nasty that is. Look, there's bugs floating on top. Is that a cockroach or something? Oh no, that's just a burnt kernel. But look how filthy that water is, right? Okay, so what we want to do now, wish I could go up higher, but I can't, is we want to, all the grain is sitting at the bottom. So we want to go ahead and we want to dump this dirty water out. And that burnt kernel, or cockroach, or whatever the fuck it is. This looks like a burnt kernel. Okay, the grains will stay at the bottom mostly. Any ones that float, you don't want them anyway. Right, like that. So now look at our grains, huh? There's our grains right there, right? Now we're going to do it again. Okay? We're going to fill it up again. And you don't want it hot and you don't want it cold, just kind of room temperature, lukewarm, whatever. The more water you use, the cleaner you get your grains. Some of the stuff on the grains is beneficial to the fungus, but most of it isn't. It's good, about 3/4 filled. And you stick your hand down there, you scoop them around, scoop them around, scoop them around, just like that. Stick your hand in there and give them a good swather. Pretend like you're swaddling some Grisomazem or Ragel Sagos. Oh, by the way, this video is for Denise, so you know who you are. My prize student who's very, very good at this, or at most of it anyway. Alright, so what do we got now? Well, let's look at the water now, shall we? Well, now let me get my Hopalong Cassidy rag and wipe my arm off. Okay, what do we got? Oh, that looks pretty nasty and filthy too, don't it? Lots of foam and crap. Right? Okay, well, do the same thing. Pour it out again. Remember, the grain will sit at the bottom. If it's floating, don't use it. Pour it till it almost comes out, so you get 99% of the water out of there. Ooh, almost lost it. Alright, what do we do now? We do it again. Lukewarm. Remember, lukewarm. Not fucking hot, not cold. Lukewarm. On the cold side. What we're looking for is we're looking for water that you can see through and see the grains under it. I think we got one more rinse and we'll be there. And I'm not talking this rinse, I'm talking the next one. Okay. And we slather, slather, slather them grains around. It's kind of fun, it feels good on the fingers, you know. Give you a good manicure slathering this stuff. Alright? So this will be number 3 rinse. Okay? Lots of people stop at number 3. I like to go all the way to number 4. Because I want to get all the dirt and crap off my grains. I want my grains to be able to give up their nutrients easily without a bunch of crap on top of it. So there we go. That's a lot cleaner. I'm not going to show you this one. I'll show you the next one. And again, we pour it out. A couple floaters there. They're gone. There we go. Okay? Okay, this should be the last slather here. This is the last slather of water. Okay? Now what do we got now? Let's look at what we have now. Well, damn, that's pretty damn clear. And I can see the grains right underneath it like it's not even there. So that means what? That means we just washed our grains. Okay? Our grains are washed. They're mostly free of everything. I still slather them around. But when they settle, there's no dirt in the water. Okay? That's the 4th rinse. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that out. And now we're going to prepare for the soak. Okay? Now for the soak, what we want to do is we want to take water that's a little bit warmer than lukewarm, right? And, okay, hold on one second. I'm going to take a quick commercial break because I want to show this in its entirety, especially to Denise, because this is how to make perfect grains. So hold on now. Alright, I'm back. So now what we want to do is we want to take warmer than lukewarm water, just a little bit warmer. Okay? Just a little bit warmer. And you want to pour it on your grains that you just cleaned 4 times, right? And you want to give about 2 inches over the top of your grains. I'm going to show you here in a second. Okay? Okay, here we go. Now we're going to aim the camera down and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do here. Okay, there it is. Now pay no attention to that brown water, because basically you got grains underneath it, and the water was really warm, so it's got a bunch of bubbles. But what we're going to do now is a little bit of my secret formula. Okay? So hold on, let me grab all the gear here to do this. Which I don't know where the hell it is. Hold on, let me look. Oh, here we go. Okay. Alright, so first thing we want to do is we're going to add some gypsum. See how it cleared up and now you can see the grains? We're going to add a teaspoon of gypsum. And this is just regular old gypsum. Okay? Right like that. This will help keep the grains from sticking together. You can use gypsum. This is a gypsum calcium mix, so it kind of helps a little bit. Now remember, this is a little bit warmer than lukewarm, but not hot. Then the next trick I got is this one. These are this morning's coffee grounds right here. Okay? I'm going to take the coffee ground bag out of this pot. Okay? Just like this. And I'm going to add a pretty generous amount of this pie in here. Okay, look at the pie. Okay? I'm going to drop a pretty generous amount in there. About like that. Okay? And then we're going to mix all the stuff around. Okay? Something like this. Get that gypsum in there. Now you want it to look a little bit funky. Remember, we're going to rinse it one more time. A little bit more coffee grounds. Get that down in there. Now normally I would cut a little piece of drywall, because something in the drywall glue kind of makes it work better, but because this is a tutorial video from someone else. See the coffee coming out of there? Look at that coffee. You want to get that coffee in there too. Go ahead and get that coffee right in there. Alright, so we got coffee grounds, we got gypsum, we got our rye berries. Okay? Now these rye berries, what you want to do is you want to look at the clock right now. Now my clock says 6, 8 o'clock, something like that. Anyway, this stuff needs to sit, okay, and soak for 24 hours. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a cover, a lid, it's all cleaned off, and we're going to cover it. Okay? You notice this has a hole in it, right? We're not going to leave that hole in there. We're going to put an airlock on it. Now this is the airlock I use for making booze, and it's absolutely fine. So you want to put the bung in there, and then we want to put the airlock in the bung. Okay, now this isn't absolutely necessary, but I do it. And the reason why I do it is because of air exchange. I want air to come out as the grains slowly ferment. They will actually ferment a little bit in 24 hours. But I want the gas to come out, but I don't want any oxygen to go back in. I actually want them to gas themselves out. And that's a little bit of a trick too. Even though it's 24 hours, some people will soak for 36, right? And don't forget to put the pot back in Mama's coffee frickin' pot, or she'll freak out, okay? So basically what we got right now is we got our grains washed, and now they're soaking in our secret recipe. Okay? So in 24 hours I will come back and I will show you how to do the rest of the procedure. Cool. Alrighty. Well, here we go. This is 24 hours later. And let me take the lid off of this. Hold on a second. Move the camera here. Take our bung out. back in the bone dish. Keep your lid off. Now, sometimes the grains will have a little bit of a fermented kind of smell to them, but it's perfectly normal. Alright, let's look at see what we got here. See, there's some bubbles on the top, some fermentation, and you can't see nothing under it. Alright, now we're going to dump this water out. Sometimes I don't, but this time I'm gonna, because I want to show you exactly how to do this properly. So out goes the water, out goes some coffee grounds, still a few dead kernels in there. I stick my hand in there and block some of the crap, so I can get it drier than normal. Oops, there goes a few kernels. It's okay. Okay, now what we want to do, I'm going to move the camera for this. Okay, so this is kind of important. Alright, I have a stock pan here. I was going to use that big one there, but it takes forever to heat, so I chose this one. Now the idea is, okay, nothing in it, it's got a lid, blah blah blah. We want to gently and slowly take the grains and put them in this pan without pulling up too much liquid that's on the bottom. So I just do it by hands. I mean, you're going to spill a few grains anyway. Actually, later I'm going to be pouring these on the floor right in here, so. They're nice and hydrated, but they're not perfect yet. Remember I said my job was to tell you how to make perfect grains. As you can see, we have probably 3 times as much volume as we had when we started with the dry ones. That's because they soaked up all that water. Yeah, you can definitely smell some fermentation in there, which is fine. That's what you're trying to do anyway. And then there's, of course, there's coffee grounds and gypsum on my hands right now. I can feel it's gritty. That water come out. You don't want any. Well, I mean, you can have excess water because we're just going to fill it with water anyway, but I'm trying to get rid of some of the stuff we put in it, like the gypsum. I don't want to get all the water out of this bucket. Give it a pound, swirl it around a little bit, and get all that grain out of there with as little moisture as possible. And some is fine, a lot sucks. So, okay. Yeah, it's turning out perfect. Okay, I got a pile of water in there, no big deal. It looks like coffee because it is. So, I'm cleaning this out. Hear it? There you go. Here's the last handful. The rest of it all goes down the sink. And you can see, okay, there's just water and a few little grains, right? Ouch. So then what you want to do, you want to rinse this out, okay, because you're done with your bucket now. Hold on. When working with grains or alcohols or any other potentially consumable products, I always use food grade buckets. Food grade. BPA free. It's kind of important because everything we do here at MCG Pharmaceutical Research is mostly botanical, mycological, herbal, all that stuff, and eventually it gets consumed. So you don't want to use an orange Home Depot bucket to do that. You want to use a food grade bucket. I think I got this one at Lowe's. Right, anyway, so here's my grains, right? My grains almost up to the top. Now the hard part is, I don't know if you can see that or not. The hard part is I have to get 2 inches of water over this, and I don't even know if there's 2 inches left. So you want to make it hot. Take the toad's hides out of there. Okay, so I'm running the sink, and I'm going to move the camera again because it's just me here. Okay, I'm going to take this boiling pot and I'm going to fill it with hot water. Yeah, hot water. See all the steam? This will save me a little bit of time on the stove. And what we want to do is we want to go 2 inches over the top of the grains. I can't do that. I can only go about an inch and a half. Where's my wooden spoon? Here's my mixing spoon. Okay. Yeah, I can only go about an inch and a half. And also you want to cover for your pan. Okay? Now the next step is to take this upstairs and transfer it to the oven. So that's what we're going to do now. Alright, I don't know if you can see any of this, but the boiling pot is on the stove. Got a pretty good burn going here. I want to put the lid on there, but what we're trying to do is get this to simmer, not boil, but just bubble and steam. And it's important to move the grains around because you don't want to burn any of them. So at this point in time, you want to pay attention. As you can see, it's already somewhat hot, and it's getting hotter, but it needs some time in order to start bubbling. And once it starts lightly bubbling on the top, which it's not right now, but it will, when it starts bubbling and steam starts coming out, then we do the 15-minute countdown. That 15-minute countdown is how long we want to simmer these grains. Okay, now for every grain it's different. For popcorn it's longer, for millet it's less. You know, all that crap. I'll teach you that later, but kind of looks like a face. Anyway, see if we can make some teeth in it. It's a face, there's his nose, here's his mouth. Let's give him some fucking dimples and fangs. Here, now we got, man, now that looks more like a hair lip now. Anyway, that's the idea. We want to, this is the soak and simmer method. Alright? And Doc has shown you exactly how to do it, but we're not done yet, because when this starts bubbling and simmering, I'm going to show it to you, and then we're going to take it downstairs and we're going to rack it. And racking it means we're just going to dump the grains through screens over a drain, so that the steam will help the grains to dry out some of the moisture, because we don't want the grains to be wet or split. We want them to be right at field capacity. Okay? So remember, once we start bubbling, which I will show you, we count 15 minutes. So remember that. Okay, so anyway, here we are at about 170 degrees. And we got steam coming off, and we got bubbles and froth. Okay? So now we start the timer. It's 7:23. So we're going to add 15 minutes to that, and then we're going to pull it out. But what you need to do is when it starts to simmer real slowly, you don't want to get it hot, you don't want to boil it, you just want to simmer. It's called the soak and simmer method. Okay, partially invented by Doc. Okay, see how it's bubbling and the steam's coming off? That's all you want. So you have to go down, you have to tune down your heat a little bit. You know, tune it down so that you're just bubbling. Cover it up. Okay? We're just going to say 7:25 and add the 15 minutes to that. Okay, that makes it a nice even number. So now we're simmering our grains. Okay, let me try that again. So anyway, these are the racking screens. They're just, you know, screens that are actually for my reptile enclosure. See, it's just a mesh pattern on a little frame. And I put them right over the drain. That way, when I pour my grains out, because we need air to go under them, because the steam is what's going to dry our grains and bring them to field capacity. Now, I was just informed by my roommate that the grains were boiling over a little bit, which is good because we can turn it off now and we'll reach our 15-minute mark of cooking, which is a good thing. So we're going to lay a bunch of grain out on this, we're going to lay a bunch of grain out of that, then we're going to scoop it around with our wooden spoon. We'll lose a few down that crack right there. I could put tape on it, but I don't. Maybe I'll put a little piece this time, but you get the idea, right? Alright, so next time, or in the next frame, I'm going to be coming down with the pot and pouring them out, because I'm ready to go get them right now on any heating pads. Alright. Or, you know, oven mitts. Okay. So I brought the grains down, and I got my spoon. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the lid off, and I'm going to rack my grains. And all that means, see the steam come out of there? Is that we're going to take these grains that smell really potent now, and we're going to lay them out to dry. And see, now there's only like a half-inch of water, and before there was an inch and a half. Not quite 2, but that's how much humidity that the grains have soaked up. So the idea is to pour out the water down the drain, right? There's some grains coming out. And we want to spread an even layer on this rack, from top to bottom, so that we have enough to go all around. This one, on the other hand, is a lot bigger, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to put a good quantity in, ouch, on that, okay? See the steam? Okay, here we go. Grains up out of there, boy. You don't want to waste no grains. That goes in the sink. Now what we want to do is we want to take a wooden spoon or spatula. Ow, they're hot as hell. And you kind of want to spread them out. And this will allow them to dry. And I do have a couple broken kernels in there. Not very many, but I do have some. And that's kind of not what we're after. Okay? So you want to avoid broken kernels if you can, but you're always going to have a couple, you know. I mean, we can't do nothing about that. So see all the steam coming off? Okay, now, once you get your grains racked, you have to let them dry. Okay? Now the steam is in the air going underneath it is going to help them dry. That's why I put the screens upside down. I don't want these sitting up against the ground. I want them to dry. And you can see when I flip it that the grains underneath are wet. Let's put some more over here because I got too much on this little one and not enough on the big one. Alright, so now it's steaming pretty good. Let's get some in here. There's not a whole lot of broken kernels, which is good. And then I have 7 jars ready to go. So basically you want to do this until it quits steaming, because that's when, you know, the steam is what pulls the moisture out of them as it's drying. And it's very important, okay? So the water's draining out of them and the steam is drying them. The heat from the steam and the steam coming off is pulling it from somewhere. Where do you think it's getting it from? Right, the grains. And that's what we want, okay? This will probably sit here for, I'd say, maybe 20 minutes. And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jars here. I think we're probably only going to get away with maybe 6, maybe. So I bought extra. But see it steaming, letting off all that steam and heat. Want it to keep doing that until it's damn near dry. Okay? And then there's your perfect grains. Okay? But I'll go through the rest of it too. We have to go through packing the jar and putting the dust cover on. And that's not interesting. It's real easy. But I have lids that already have the fiber in it, fiber fill. And this is for, you know, syringe inoculation. This came off a jar that I used in another run. But since all this has to go into the pressure cooker anyway and be sterilized anyway, there's really no need to change it out. I usually use my fiber fill plugs for 2 or 3 rounds, never more than 3, usually 2. This will be the second. So there's your lid with your fiber fill already in it, and I got 7 up there ready to go. But another thing is I sprayed the floor down, this entire area, with 70% isopropanol, and then dried it before I put all this stuff out, so I'm not getting crap off the ground. But even if I did get some crap, or you were doing it and got some crap, and it don't matter, because you still have to sterilize it, you still have to cook it. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to use the Power Pressure Cooker XL. Now it only goes up to 12 pounds and we need 15. But instead of cooking it for 90 minutes, I'm going to go 120 minutes. I'm going to give it an extra half hour to make sure that it has enough time to sterilize those grains. So that's how I make up for it. I mean, I've done it before and it's been somewhat successful. The problem with my pressure cooker is I can only put 2 jars in there. I'd be up all night. So I'm going to go 3 and 3. I might get 7, but if I do, I'll go 3, 3, and 1. And we're going to cook it at 12 psi for 120 minutes or 2 hours. So these 6 or 7 jars here, well, depending on what it ends up being, is going to be 4 hours of cooking. The cool thing is the Power pressure cooker does it by itself. I just set the time and shove the jars in there and they're good. But you have to remember to put your dust covers on. And another thing is these jars are spotless. I clean them inside and out. I use a brush. I use bleach. You know, I get these babies perfectly clean. I put them upside down so no dust gets in them. You know what I mean? It's very important. You can see how they're drying now. You can see wet spots in there. That's what we want. Alright? So I'm going to come back in 20. And we're going to go ahead and jar it up. Okay? And this particular video is for a friend of mine. Her name's Denise. She's really super smart, and she's into mycology, so you know, I'm trying to teach her grains. This is only rye grain right now, but you know, there's different ways to do all of them. I mean, you can use brown rice, or you can use Uncle Ben Tech. You can use popcorn. You can use millet. You can buy birdseed and just take the sunflower seeds out and use that. I mean, there's a bunch of different grains you can use for this, especially if it's cubensis that you're growing. So yeah, the steam has stopped coming off of it, and it looks, you can see little pockets in there getting dry. So yeah, I'd give it about, I'd say 20 more minutes, and then it's time to transfer it. It's alright for it to be open to the air, because you're going to have to sterilize it anyway. So what's the difference, right? Alright, I'll be back shortly, in 20 minutes. Okay, here we go. So for this part, you will need Reynolds wrap, your jars, and your wooden spoon. What we're going to do is we're simply put the Reynolds wrap over there. We're going to scoop up, starting with the first jar. We're not going to go down through this, we're just going to scoop the surface, right? And then go deep, because the ones deeper are wetter. So you want to layer it. A little bit of dry, a little bit of wet. Okay, a little bit of dry, a little bit of wet. And then check the temperature and make sure that your grains are somewhat cool. Wet, dry, wet, dry. Okay, here we go. So you want about this much in it. You want to leave enough room, well, maybe a little more than that. I'm trying to get this in 6 jars. But I do have some split kernels in here, probably because it boiled over, so I had the temperature a little bit too hot. But as long as you're using a crap load of them, you're fine. So that's a good jar. Let's start the second one. I'm going to spread this back out so it can dry. And I'll start on the second rack here. Dry, dry, wet, dry, wet, wet, dry, wet. This doesn't really matter all that much because they're pretty much the same kinda, but you kind of want to balance it a little bit because some of them are wetter than others, and if you don't throw some dry in there, like from right here in the corner or someplace on your rack where you know it's dry, you know, it'll even itself out. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it as even as possible. A little bit more. Okay. And a little bit more. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, there's 2 jars. Okay, set them off the side. Here's number 3. Wet. Going to the sides here to get the dry ones. Okay, dry. Wet. Down deep. Dry. From the top. And wet, dry. You can use a combo. I'm probably being picky, but that's just how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. You can just throw all the grains in one thing. But the problem is I have a few split kernels here, so I don't want them sticking to the glass or getting too close to the top. Make sure you leave a little bit of room, and the room is for inoculation and other things. And it doesn't matter if you touch things and you're not sterile, because you're going to be putting this through the pressure cooker anyway, and you're going to be sterilizing these grains. So always put dry on the bottom, because the wet ones above it will give them the moisture they need to get to field capacity. For those of you who don't know, field capacity depends on what substance you're measuring. Because what it is it's the moisture level that keeps the water from gravity pulling it down in drops. So in other words, if you wanted your let's say you want your bulk substrate at field capacity, that means you want it so if you hung it from a bag that was wide open, it wouldn't drip, because it's at field capacity. It doesn't have enough moisture for gravity to drag it down. Okay? Basically, you can squeeze it, like if you had a bag, had a mesh bottom or something, if you squeezed it, you'd have to squeeze really hard to get any moisture out of it. That's field capacity. That's perfect field capacity. And this grain issue here, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you don't want a bunch of split grains, because if they sit up against the wall of the glass, you're looking at contamination. So that's why we're using the dust covers, and we're also using some other technology, which is the syringe inoculation of multi-spore, which is kind of a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. All right, we got 2 more jars left. It looks like we only got enough for 1, but let's give her a shot. If I get 7, I'm going to be up for 6 hours. Yeah, it's going to suck too. Get dry. Get wet. Shit, all I got now is wet. I might as well just make the best of it. And you know, you can brush it around with your hand. I got a lot on the floor. You can go ahead and take it off the floor. It doesn't make any difference. You're going to be sterilizing it anyway, so. Shit, I might have enough for 7. I might. Oh man, I'm not. It's going to be too close. But we'll make a half jar. Who cares, right? Okay. Alright. A bit more. Okay, that's 6 jars. Okay. And this will be 7. There's enough there to make a little bit. So let's see what we can do. Maybe I'll do a different strain in this one. Maybe I'll get my blue oysters back up to snuff too. I know that I'm not going to have enough green spawn for this, but let's try. Like I said, this doesn't have to be a sterile procedure, and no, I'm not lying. So go ahead, and you can touch them. Remember, we're going to cook these. That's what we're going to do next, in fact. So I'm just going to clean all this stuff up, right? I'm going to get the crap off the floor, the stuff out of the crack. I got to wash these racks. Put them back on my my toad tank, because I also raise toads. Very special toads, actually. They're Bufel alvarius toads. And they're really cool. They're huge. They eat mice. And they got all their own personalities. Like, they eat pizza and hot dogs. And it's all got to be low sodium, of course, or I wouldn't give it to them. But they're actually pets. I mean, they do anything a cat or a dog would do. They climb up on you and try to suck your heat out of you. The only difference is they're so venomous that if you keep them on your skin too long, you'll get sick, which ain't no fun. However, knowing that they're that toxic kind of tells you not to do that. So, right, I'm almost there, man. I'm spilling a lot of this crap, but that's okay. And then I want to keep the camera going. I know you guys are bored, or who's ever watching. This is going to my personal video collection, so only friends are watching at this point. But what I want to do is I don't want to... Here we go. I'm going to take the tape off, right? And this one. Shit, there we go. And see, I'm going to take these grains, the ones that are stuck in the screen, tap them out, and I'm going to use them. I mean, there's grains all over the floor, at least another handful, and there's no reason why I can't use them. They're going to be sterilized anyway. So what the hell is the difference? There isn't any. Some people take this stuff way too serious. Sterilize everything. But you're talking about grain. There's no way you're going to sterilize grain before you pressure cook it anyway. So what is the difference? Go ahead and cook it. So these are like little maggots. They get stuck in there. Like, you know, in your craw. And you can't get them out. And then they'll dry up and they'll just create nothing but problems like this one is. Alright, so I'm going to leave it in there. I don't care. This thing is pretty much clean. Alright. These will be clean, put back on the toad enclosure. This stuff, however, is all dirt and all, and coffee grounds and everything else. It's going to be collected by hand and stuck in that damn jar. All of it. Every little bit. You don't want to waste anything. You have to buy it, so why would you throw it out if you're paying for it, right? And this will give me just enough spawn to put me at the halfway mark on that jar, which is acceptable because it makes it real easy to do a grain-to-grain transfer that way, which I will be doing in the future. This particular run of grains is going to be used to cultivate the Blucifers, which not many people have heard of. It's my own creation, but it's difficult to grow and very picky. So, but then again, it's really super strong too. So if you want the strongest, going Blucifer is the way to go. You know, it's just a cubensis phenotype, but the point is that it's super potent. Like, you can eat 1 gram of Blucifer and it would probably equal 5 to 5.5 grams of Penis Envy, you know, or Malabar, Golden Teacher even, probably 7 grams of Golden Teacher. Alright, there we go. That's the last of it. Now here's the important part. So we put the grains in here, right? And there's a little bit of, you know, coffee kernels in there. But we want to cover and wrap these with the dust cover of aluminum foil. And we want to do it when we cook it. I mean, we want to run it, we want to leave it on pretty much the whole time. So let me demonstrate how that's done with one, and then I'll let you get going, because I know that this is getting long and boring. So here's a lid. It's already got the fiber fill in it. We're going to go ahead and put it on the first jar. Okay? You line up the seal. You crank it down. Okay? The dust cover, I usually get 2 out of the sheet. But you got to make it long enough where you don't get the 2. So I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to split it in half. Okay? You want to leave this on. The idea is to get it down into the rim. Okay? See how it's over the rim there? Right there, it's perfect. This is perfect. And then squeeze it in, like that. Squeeze it into that rim. Okay? just like that. There's one. I'll do one more, and then I will show you how to, well, I won't show you how to press. Anybody knows how to use a pressure cooker. So remember, pressure cooker, presto at 15 psi for 90 minutes. If you're going to use a power pressure cooker XL, you want to go 2 hours to make up for that difference, and that will sterilize your grain spawn. I mean, it's very important. We're not pasteurizing here, we're sterilizing, which means we're not leaving any essential funguses or bacteria in there that would be beneficial to the mushroom whatsoever. So there isn't any reason, right, to help something that we don't even want to grow. These are all going to be inoculated via syringe multi-spore culture in a microscopy type syringe, if you know what I mean. I don't know why I don't just say what it is and get it over with, you know. Yeah, you want to rip these right in half. Whoops, I fucked that one up. Pull it down tight, a little bit more that way. Pull it down tight, fold it in, fold it in. Get it up in that crack, so that when the steam comes out, it's got to force its way through that. Right, there's enough for one run of the pressure cooker. If I had a good pressure cooker, I could stick 20 of these in there, but unfortunately I don't. So we're going to do 4 at a time, or 3 at a time, unfortunately. See, now this piece is too small, so I'll save that for something else. You got to rip it just right or it don't make it. It's got to be right dead nut center. So you make it a square, right? And then rip it right down the center. Just like that. Right down the center. Come on, baby. See, now that's pretty damn good right there. Yep. Perfect. And this goes down here. See? Put it right in the middle. Hold it down. Stick it in that groove under there. Stick it in there. And rotate it. And you're going to keep this on until you do your syringe inoculation of spores. Okay? So I'm going to let you go, and I'll come back with cooking procedures in a minute. So these are the jars. They're all capped, and I got dust covers on each one. They're all tucked in. And yes, I'm using a power pressure cooker XL. And right now I have it set on canning, which is right there, which is like 12 to 13 pounds or something like that. And once it builds up enough steam to pressure, the time will start. So the 120 doesn't actually start until this is boiling and building up pressure. And the pressure will come out of that. And then this will lock, this little lock this down. I don't know if you can see it, but it's down in that little hole right there. And a lot of people swear that these things don't work, but I haven't had very bad luck with them, man. I mean, Power Pressure XL has worked for a lot of my grain spawn. However, I do like to use this one. And that is 15 pounds, but it's just so small I can only get 2 jars in that. I can get 3 in here. Now remember, I had 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I will put the last one, the half one that's way back in the corner. Like when I swap it out, I'll put these 3 in and leave the last one in the corner for the middle of the night when I should be sleeping. And I'll put it in there, cook it, and just in the morning I'll take it out. So there you go. Now we have to pressure cook our grains. Alright, it's been 2 hours and now it's 0 again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this valve here, right here. Oops, shit, not like that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to drain this Power Pressure Cooker XL down. And we're going to load up 3 more so I can get a little bit of sleep. But those right there, those 3 will go in a bucket right here and be covered with that cover without a bung in it, just to cool down. We don't want to melt anything, okay? But what we need to do is reset this. So we want to go off like that. We want to make sure that there's enough water in there to do another round, but we're going to go ahead and pull these jars out. Let me grab like a sock or something so I don't burn the crap out of my hands. I think I got a sock over here. Don't worry about the noise. It's just me holding the camera, banging things into it, you know. Here's a sock right here. Maybe I can stick my hand in there. So hold on, let me stick my hand in here. Okay, so that has cooled down. There's our jars. Okay, those jars will be transferred into this bucket here, where they will cool. And then we'll put the other 3 in. Okay. Where'd my sock go? I gotta put my sock on because these are hot. Okay, there's 1, 2, ouch, 3. Okay, those go into the bucket without a bung on it. And then the other 3, I'm putting in hot water. You got to be very careful when you do that because they will break if you're not careful. Right, there's the next 3. You got to line it up just right, like that. Set this back on pressure. Damn it. And then we got wait a minute, we got this. We got canning, and then time. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 120, 70, yeah, that would work. Okay, it should kick in. Alright, now it's heating up. Alright, so we're on can. We're set for 120 minutes. It's 12 to 14 pounds. Not quite 15, so we're giving it a little extra time. This is sealed. So yeah, in another 2 hours, then other 3 will be done, just leaving us this half one, which is fine. It's perfectly fine, you know. I don't care. There's a lot of room in there. I mean, I could do a grain to grain transfer, whatever, you know. Matter of fact, with my spores that I have, or actually it's not even spores, it's a partial tissue culture that I want to test out in this. I think one of my liquid spawn, liquid mycelium vessels is infected, because the only way you can tell if liquid spawn is infected is by streaking a petri dish or putting it to grain. And if you put it to grain, you're just wasting it, so we don't want to waste any grain. But anyway, at about 20 minutes, that'll get up to temp, and then it will seal itself through that little hole that I showed you last time, right down in there. And then this thing here will let out air until steam starts coming out, and then we're golden. because it'll do everything by itself. And I'll just get up in a few hours and throw that last jar in there. I couldn't fit 4 in it, so trust me, I tried. Alright, so have a good one. But that's pretty much how you prep your grains. Now, you know, these ones that are in here, they'll be cool by tomorrow morning. You notice I didn't put the bung in it because there's a lot of heat coming out of this bucket right now. And yeah, I'll put them 3 in there, which will heat it up again. So nothing's going to get into that or past the duct cover. And then tomorrow morning we will do a liquid multi-spore inoculation of Lucifers and see what happens. Cool? Cool. Alright. Doc out. Okay, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to inoculate some of these jars. So we've got 6 jars of good grains. Probably only be able to do 5 of them. Okay. So the first thing is, this is our spore syringe here, our multi-spore syringe, which has a mixture of blue meanies and dark blues in it. You know, because I just put them in. You can kind of see them in there, but at the same time you kind of can't. So we're just going to shake it up. We have a sterile syringe here, and we have a rag that's soaked with isopropanol. So everything is isoproped. Okay? So we want to start one by one here. One thing I want to do is I want to do me too. So do my arms, my hands, rub them together. Most people wear gloves, but I'm out of them at this point. So the next step is to make sure that my rag is soaked. Okay? Alright, now we're going to start with the first jar. We're going to isoprope some of this washing machine here. We're going to set my my dust covers over there. So here's the dust cover. These are the dust covers that go on your grains, right? I'm going to set that there. I'm going to spray the jar a little bit. It's okay to spray the top of it too, okay? Oh shit, okay. Alright, I'm going to set it on top of my isopropanol thing. Right here is the syringe. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this. I'm going to crank the top. I'm going to screw it on. Okay. Ready? We're going to put 2 cc's. First thing I want to do is I want to level this out again. Right there, okay? This is wet, so we're going to go ahead and wipe off the syringe needle. We're going to go 2 cc's for each one. Okay, so we're going to go down to 8. Like that. Okay, set the jar over here. I'm going to put the needle in the isopropanol. Put the dust cover back on this one, okay? Alright. Next one. Remember, dust cover off. Okay, spray it down. I'm going to get everything killed out of there. Isopropanol on the needle, which it's been smelling for a while, through the hole. And we want to put 2 in here. Push it down. Cover it up. Isopropanol. Put the dust cover back on. Okay. Next, this one. Open this up. Just do the same thing every single time. Spray it down. It looks a little light for some reason. Isopropanol in here. Right through the middle. 2. There you go. Press it down. Wrap your needle back in the wet rag of isopropanol. Put your dust cover back in. There's 3. Okay. Now you got 4. Same thing. Take this off. Isopropanol rag through the center. 2. Okay. Isopropanol it. Punch it back down. Put it back in. Okay, there's 4. We got enough to do 5. 6 and 7 will have to be Doc Blues. Okay? So that's that. Next jar. This one. This will be the last one I can do with the Lucifer. Take your dust cover off. Okay. ISO. Spray it. Okay. Wipe your needle down. Hit the center. Okay. ISO. Put the thing back and dust cover. Alrighty. Okay, now the next step is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the last 2 jars with Doc Blues. But we're going to do it in a half jar and a full jar with liquid culture. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some liquid culture on the spinner here. And we're going to stir it up. Okay, you ready? So, we want to spray. Okay, so everything's soaked with isopropanol. Start with this one here. ISO, always remember to ISO everything. Matter of fact, we'll take both dust covers off. We'll ISO everything all at once. ISO. Okay. Now I'm going to get my thing off the spinner here, my magnetic spinner. We're going to go quick with this. We want to take the lid off, spray the top with ISO, stick my thing through our self-healing port, and draw up, I don't know, maybe 5, somewhere around 5 or 6 milligrams. Okay, ISO. Okay, put the dust cover back on. This is a liquid culture of Doc Blues. You can see everything floating around in there, so we're good. Alrighty, so now we go 2.5. So we've already ISO'd all that. Everything's wet with isopropanol. So we want to go ahead and we want to puncture this one first. Okay. So 1. Seal it back back up. Just a half care. Seal it back up. Now this syringe is spent. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the cap back on here. And we're going to squirt a little bit of ISO in my hand. We're going to draw a little bit of it up in the syringe. Okay? Now screw the lid on and just fill up the cap. That will soak the cap in ISO. And then this will go in my lab right here for future reference. In case I ever want to maybe sterilize one. Okay, next, recap these. So, put the dust cover back in. This. I'm going to leave them on this table because I want to label all these with the permanent markers. Yeah. Alright. So these are dark blues. Those are Blucifers. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how you do it. Quick, easy procedure. You use a rhythm and you avoid contamination. So let's see where we're at here in a couple days. Well, in like a week. See if we got any germination going on. Cool? Cool.